Okay.
And we are roll live, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 19 of Arknolia and the Doctor here. Myself, Dr. Earl W. Brown, and Arknolia Stroke of Bean. And we are continuing our list of some songs from various artists. I know we did Peter, Paul, and Mary. I think we're supposed to do that
Well,
tonight.
right.
Tonight, yes, that's right there. My bad. We then also Hermits, and a couple others here. Johnny Cash as well. The Hollies, Graham Nash's old band, Donovan, the Animals. And I know the last time we were on there, we covered a lot of Ricky Nelson, Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, Buck Owens, and a couple.
Right.
Yes, and we're going to do more lists for tonight here, obviously. And so strap down and enjoy yourself. It's a good, calm, cool, and collected conversation of some top 10 lists that Arky here has, of some very artists. Now, I need to go on this little bit record here. People are going to ask, how come I don't have any top 10 or top 5 lists of these artists? Because I never had any of these artists other than the Animals and one Johnny Cash record. My dad only had the best of the Animals and Johnny Cash's greatest hits. Said that we didn't have any Peter, Paul, Mary, Tom Jones, or a couple others either.
And basically, this is just a way for Dr. Earl to get a little more familiar with these people. Because obviously, I had a lot of this.
Yeah, a lot more. He had a lot. Believe me, Ark has a lot more than I have. The only songs I know from the Hollies, for example, are simply only basically two songs. The ones that are mostly played on the radio nowadays. Long cool woman in a black dress, and of course the air that I breathe.
Right.
And of course we know Johnny Cash, his songs like A Boy Named Sue, Walk the Line, I Walk the Line there, as well as a couple others like Folsom Prison Blues, which I saw get covered a lot by various cover bands when I was living in Richmond, Michigan a few times
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Peter, Paul, and Mary, who we know with Puff the Magic Dragon. I guess was Leaving on a Jet Airplane, I think it was. They had a song titled that.
Yeah, they covered the John Denver song. He wrote it.
John Denver. Oh, well, John Denver became after Peter, Paul, and Mary because, if I'm correct, because Peter, Paul, and Mary was in the 1960s, unless John
Well,
Denver
yeah, but they
wrote that.
carried on to the 70s too.
That's true, yeah. So, of course, a lot of controversy was stirred up because of some of the hidden content in the song "Pout the Magic Dragon." There, people thought it was a smoking weed song. There,
Yeah, although when you really listen to it, it really doesn't sound like it. Hey, are you live? Because I don't see you.
I'm alive. It should be live here. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
live. Let me check here. Yeah, it was. Let me see here. It says we're live right now.
okay.
Yep,
You're
and
just not
well,
pulling up, but that's okay.
let me
As
see
long
here.
as you see it, that's good enough.
Well, let me go click on another tab here to see if we everything's going good here. Cause I'm. Let's see here. Come on, come on, come on. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Let's go up here. Unless something is up here. I know a lot of shit has been going on here and all that. Yep,
Oh, there you are.
yes, we are live. Definitely for shizzle, man. See
As long
here.
as you see it, you weren't showing up on mine
Well,
for
let me
some reason.
go click on another. Yep, there we go. And no thanks, your TV you love is always on. With live TV and limited DVR. Don't miss some of it. Be quiet, fools.
I guess let's start with Johnny Cash.
Yeah, the great one. I consider
And I
him
plan
the
to do
great
Peter,
one.
Paul, and Mary, the Animals, and Tom Jones.
Absolutely, yes. You just start with the man in black.
Yeah. At number 10, I got Folsom Prison Blues.
Oh yeah.
I like
Start
the
by,
song, but I like others better.
yeah, but then again, it kind of gives you a good description of what it's like to be in prison at that time. You
Yeah.
see everybody
Yeah.
running around free as a whistle, and here you are locked up. Because you wanted to shoot a guy just to watch him die. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, his lyrics were always interesting.
More than interesting. In fact, I guess you could possibly say he was one of the first rappers out there.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah, so like the song like A Boy Named Sue, which by the way was a story about a guy who gets a girl's name, which he knows is going to cause trouble from the other people there, but it will toughen the boy up in such a cruel and heartless world.
Yeah. Ironically, that one didn't make my list, but that's okay. I still
Wow.
like the song.
Yeah, but it is a good song there. It is.
Well, like I said, my lists are going to be kind of odd from time to time.
Yeah, it's true.
Uh, my number 9 was 5 Feet High and Rising, which is, I don't know what kind of song you would call it, but it's kind of like we're in the middle of a flood here. I mean,
Oh
you
wow.
ask the question, how high is the water, Mama? 5 feet high and rising,
Yeah, there's something like
or three
that.
feet high and rising, or 4 feet high and rising. You
I'm
know,
think I'm thinking the people who went through Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Katrina can relate to that song very well.
yeah, I think so. And number 8, I've got the Rebel Johnny Yuma,
Ah,
which is a pretty neat song, actually. Then number 7, I've got the one on the right is on the left, which was a song he sang about a folk group that sang songs about the land and their differences in politics and stuff like that. And it's an interesting song to listen to because he's talking about how the one on the right was on the left and the one on the left was on the right and the one in the middle was in the middle or whatever. But
kind of like the same thing we got going on now politically wise, because we have the right going against the left and the left going against the right.
yeah, yeah.
And we've been seeing that a lot more for the past throughout the Trump administration. And I'm
Yeah,
wondering,
it's
and we don't know if it's going to continue. It may continue this way because there's no doubt the right is going to be going after Biden and their voters. Of course, Kamala Harris and of course Pelosi again.
yeah, yeah. It's one of those things that's kind of I don't know. Number 6, I got Jackson, which is the one he did with June Carter, which
Yes, I remember that.
that's a pretty decent song.
Jackson, Mississippi, that they're speaking of.
Yeah. Number 5, I got Understand Your Man,
Mm.
which is a pretty neat little song. Well, they wouldn't be on my list if I didn't like them. The next one I got, number 4, is It Ain't Me, Babe, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a Dylan song.
I think so, yeah, because I remember Dylan. I had Bob Dylan's greatest hits on vinyl years back, and it
And he
had
pretty much did his own material and nobody else's. I don't recall him ever covering anything, but I could be wrong.
maybe so. Who knows? A lot of people, a lot of
Didn't
time.
have to.
Yeah, but then again, Bob Dylan was a very respected singer and songwriter. I mean, look at
Yep,
the influence he had on Jimi Hendrix.
absolutely.
Who
Yeah.
could not forget not just All Along the Watchtower, but also his cover of Like a Rolling Stone at the Monterey Pop Festival.
Oh, yeah. Now, there was a king of covers, was Hendrix.
Absolutely. And we even did a Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band a day after it came out in the UK.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the Beatles happened to see it and they were like amazed that he pulled it off as well as he did.
Yeah. And of course, but they got to give Hendrix his due because it's
Oh, yeah.
sad. It would have, how would it have been if Hendrix did a song with the Fab Four? How awesome would that be?
That would have been very interesting.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I can
Number,
imagine. I can imagine what he would have done if they decided to do another version of Revolution with Hendrix doing lead guitar and stuff, and with
oh,
the
man.
studio techniques that Hendrix was advising during that time.
Yeah. Number 3, I've got, it's, I guess in a sense, I don't know whether you'd call it a patriotic song or what, but it's Ballad of Ira Hayes. It's about a Indian who went to war and was one of the heroes of the war. When he came back, he was just an Indian again.
Yeah, yeah, just a regular person. I know. I
Yeah.
can imagine anybody who went through World War One, Two, Korean, Vietnam, and the past two Gulf Wars must be feeling that same effect when he come home there.
Yeah, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the people that did the flag on Iwo Jima. I think
Yes.
he was one of those 4 or 5 that put the flag up there and was basically a hero when he came home. He was, oh, he's the Indian that went to war,
Yeah.
and that was pretty much it. Didn't really get the due he probably should have gotten.
You
Number
got it.
two for
Yeah.
me was one of his big hits, Ring of Fire.
Oh yeah, one of the greatest. Did you ever heard the social distortion version of that song?
No, but a little bit later we'll be talking about another group's version of that song, which was interesting.
Oh,
And then for my number one, my favorite Johnny Cash song is "I Walk the Line."
absolutely.
I love the way that he starts it in one chord group, then he goes to a different chord group, then he goes to a different chord group. You know, he just kind of, I forget what it's called.
And he was able to chord changes. Tim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but there's a name for that, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah, and you got to give Cash his due. He was able to flex his vocal muscles to match that particular key note there.
There's not many people that could probably pull that song off.
Other than Axl Rose, which will be later, years later on down the line there.
Yeah,
Because what I
yeah,
understand, Rose was able to sing at 5 different octaves.
yeah, and there's not many people that can do that.
Yeah, not many.
And Cash was one of them. And of course, he had other great songs, but these were my favorites.
I know one of my favorites says so would be one of them would of course be A Boy Named Sue, as well as cover of Nine Inch Nails' Hurt from 2003.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well,
That
it
was a
wouldn't do my top 10
massive
anyway, but it was good.
that was a massive ass awesome cover of that song. In fact, even Trent Reznor, who wrote it, would agree. He said it's no longer my song; it's Cash's, and
Yeah,
so he would agree. He did pure justice to that song, no doubt about it.
yeah. Now we're going to jump from country and western, and he did cross over into rock.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of those songs that I mentioned were covered there too, or not covered, but actually made the charts there.
And
And
plus,
we're going to jump.
so he did performances with his version of Rusty Cage, the Soundgarden song with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers backing them up. I remember it's a
Yeah,
performance of that, and he also appealed to Snoop Dogg as well. Believe it or not.
yeah. But we're going to jump all the way from country over to folk and do Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Ah,
That's quite a little jump, but hey,
who
if you're a
cares?
true
Who
if
cares?
you're a true,
Sorry
go
about
ahead.
that. I'm sorry about that, man. I'm trying to say something. You're trying to say something. We're doing that at the same time.
Well, just going to say a true musicologist likes stuff in pretty much all the realms.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just fixate on one type and that's all you listen to.
Yeah.
You're not expanding your horizons. You're not really seeing what's out there and what you're missing.
Well, yeah,
Because in a lot of cases, you're missing some pretty good stuff.
yeah, exactly. I mean, in my cell phone for the moment, I have a couple of old school metal. I have some techno pieces there. I also have Barry White's I got so much to give album on there is just as well. On my
Yeah,
MP3, it has some industrial stuff, some techno stuff, some old school metal, and some dark ambient pieces just as well, including one of the albums I have is a guilty pleasure of mine called Cashmere Dreams by Fernando Saunders, an album that I just fell in love with when I first heard it back in 1989.
yeah, yeah. Okay, Peter, Paul, and Mary. My number 10 is Freight Train, which is an old folk standard, which they covered, which I believe Woody Guthrie wrote it,
Ah, the,
which goes way back.
the
And while
People's
we're on
Poet.
folk and Woody Guthrie, how about his son Arlo?
Absolutely there. he carried on that. We always think of Arlo Guthrie for the Alice's Restaurant piece.
Right.
That's played every. Excuse me, there. That's played
Pretty
at
much every
everything.
Thanksgiving.
Correct, yes. But he did other songs just as well, like Heading
Oh yeah.
into Los Angeles and a couple others.
Uh, City of New Orleans,
Yep.
which is a pretty nice little song.
Hmm.
Okay, at number 9, I got Blowing in the Wind, which is a Dylan song.
Yep.
Nice song. Number 8, I got 500 Miles, which I believe that's also a Dylan song.
Wow. Dylan must have been the big must have been the big shit back then because from Johnny Cash and Peter Paul Mary and Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. Number 7, I got Early Morning Rain, which is actually a Gordon Lightfoot song.
Wow. So he must have wrote that prior to him becoming a big star with his work there around the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Gordon Lightfoot's got a lot of pretty good stuff,
Oh,
though.
absolutely. If you could read my mind. And of course,
Sundown.
yes, and who cannot forget one of the a sad part of Michigan history, the
Oh,
wreck
yeah.
of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yep.
I
That's
was
a great
that
song.
great and haunting song. It's
Yeah.
also a tragic song because the details of that song is absolutely 100% true.
Yep. Yeah. And number 6, I got Stew Ball, which is a song about a racehorse, which is pretty good. I don't know
Wow.
who did it, wrote it, but it's a pretty nice little song about the racehorse, and it's
We don't really have songs about racehorses nowadays. We have songs
oh,
about wives, lovers, relationships,
right.
and this one's about a racehorse.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice little song though.
It is
And number
interesting.
5, I got For Loving Me, which is another Gordon Lightfoot song.
Wow,
That's what you get for loving me. That's what you.
that kind of stuff. I thought at first it was "Thank you for loving me" at first when I
Oh
first
no.
heard about it.
Oh, oh no. Excuse me, you got me
You okay?
coughing.
Oh,
Number 4, I got Leaving on a Jet Plane, which we talked about a little while ago.
yep.
It's, I believe, John Denver wrote that song,
Mm.
if I'm not mistaken.
And I believe that was from the '70s. I understand because you said that
Yeah,
they were still making records around that decade.
yeah. Number 3, I got Too Much of Nothing. That's another, believe, early '70s song,
Ah.
maybe late '60s, but that's a pretty good song too. Number 2, I got I Dig Rock and Roll Music, which was
That's
kind of their nod to rock and roll.
yeah, I see there. Was it it was in a folky version or was it with electric guitars and that?
Well, it was kind of a combo type song. Uh, you'd have to hear it to understand what I'm saying, but they just talked about how much they liked rock and roll music and how
Ah, that's nice.
pretty nice little song. And can we guess what number 1 is?
Let me guess. Puff the Magic Dragon, correct?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
I've always liked that song.
And as I
And
mentioned earlier,
when
there
I
was
first heard it, I didn't even realize that everybody was talking about it being about,
we smoking weed, getting high on the pot there, and all that jazz there.
which
But
is funny because the last verse he abandons all that,
yeah,
puffing, and it's kind of like, well, if you were talking about the weed thing, wouldn't you still be doing it?
yeah. And but then again, that's how people were uptight and cautious back then. You remember the situation with the Doors,
Right.
with the Light My Fire, the topic of that song. Even Grace Slicks at that time said that song at that period was one of the most explicit songs she ever heard.
Oh yeah.
And of course, let's not forget, they were not allowed to say the word higher when they performed that song on the Ed Sullivan Show. But they
Right.
went, of course, they went and did it anyway, and next thing you know, that was their only performance on that program.
Yeah. Because they kind of,
Pushed the envelope on it. See, there was nothing
yeah.
wrong with saying that word. I don't think the idea, but people at the time were still kind of like they were kind of like scared because of the drug use that was going on amongst the teenagers, and they were afraid that if a rock star is going to say the word, let's get high, they're going to take its drugs, whether it's even though the artist is saying let's get high on the music, on the euphoria you get when you hear this song. No, they're going to
Right.
believe that it's get high on the weed, on the alcohol, and the drugs. That's how people think.
Well, it's kind of funny, the people that were so, I guess you might say, against, they they were the ones that were hearing it that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to read that.
And it's kind
You
of
know,
funny is that you remember Tipper Gore, the head who did led that witch hunting in Washington against rock music at the Parents Music Resource Center. She was apparently a big fan of the Grateful Dead. And what did the Grateful Dead and their fans do a lot of most of the time? Drop acid.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was their big deal.
Absolutely, yeah. And she's got the nerve to complain about a couple of lyrics in Madonna's or Prince's song.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of weird.
That's true,
Now,
yeah.
now we're going to jump from a folk group to one of my guilty pleasures, Tom Jones. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
Tom Jones.
Yeah, but I guess it's cool to like Tom Jones nowadays, but back then it was kind of like a, huh? Especially
Yeah,
around, because, Tom Jones was not that much rock and roll, but he often had a rock and roll persona in his performances. I mean, you got
right.
to remember, him and Engelbert Humperdinck were like the top-notch crooners of their day. Like women like throwing themselves to them. Well, in Jones's case, it was throwing their panties on stage. In fact, it got to the point where Tom Jones had to advise various women not to do that no more. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but
It is, but
that's
then
how it was
again, it
back then.
is. But then again, it's showing their appreciation for you.
Sure.
There was this one story I remember that Engelbert Humperdinck had to convince the lady outside of a venue that he was supposed to perform not to commit suicide because if she wanted to do that, and unless she met him face to face.
Right.
But then again, that I know your
Yeah,
people would be like, "Huh? Are you seriously?" But then again, that's how people will go to extremes. Like
that's exactly.
another example was like this one woman, I guess, threatened to bomb a radio station in another city somewhere unless they would play the song "Don't Take the Girl" by Tim McGraw
Right. I mean, people do strange things, but
for the strangest of reasons.
yeah. Well, number 10 for him, I've got the song Love Me Tonight, which is, I guess, a nice little song.
Yeah.
And then number 9, I've got Detroit City,
Ah, nice.
which that, that's a
I
nice little song. But
must have been Was it in praise of Detroit or
no, actually, it's talking about him getting there and wishing he could go back home because he wasn't doing well or something along those lines.
because Detroit wasn't doing that well apparently?
Right.
So the opposite. So it was the opposite of Detroit Rock City.
Pretty much, yeah.
But then again, Detroit Rock City was about a guy on his way to the Kiss show, which was going on that night, and ended up getting killed.
Right.
We on.
Right.
I mean, you listen to the lyrics of the Kiss song, and you know what I'm speaking of.
Yeah.
They just never discussed that at open in the open public about the real topic of that song there.
Right. And number 8, I got Help Yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, you need to tell me if you haven't heard some of these.
I haven't really heard it, but you know what? I gotta check this out because you know what. But then again, you could possibly go to any Goodwill store in the Houston area, whether it's here, there, Conroe, and you could possibly hear some of these songs because they have a satellite radio where they play all 60s and 50s music there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a lot of times you can find the songs on YouTube.
That's right. So, which for me is a better option because God
Yeah,
knows what
that's
you.
generally where I find them.
Yeah, which is where you could find something else that's not even related to it. But then again, that may also caught your eye as well.
Yeah. And then number 7, I got Green Green Grass of Home,
I've heard that
which
many
is,
times. I heard that
yeah.
title many times there.
Number 6, I've got Delilah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I remember hearing that song at a performance on the on the TV show one time. Remember, he had a TV show called "This Is Tom Jones." If you
Oh,
remember,
yeah.
it ran
Yeah.
in. I think it ran in England for a brief. I remember it was
Well, it
shown on.
ran here too for a little while.
Yeah, I believe it was also on the Canadian television, if I remember.
Could be. I'm not real sure about that one.
I gotta check that out sometime. I gotta look that up because I remember seeing it on the. I guess it was a Canadian television show.
Yeah.
No, it was Canadian network. I meant to say. I think it was the CBC because back in Michigan we were able to watch the CBC from Windsor, Ontario.
Well, when that show's on, I was in Texas and we were getting it.
Nice.
So it was around here. Number 5, I got Daughter of Darkness.
Ah.
Number 4, probably his big hit. It's Not Unusual.
Oh yeah. No doubt about that.
Number 3, I got She's a Lady.
Oh yeah. There's a small. You know what? I got to bring this up. There is footage from the Fourth Doctor, the various episodes of Doctor Who with Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor, along with his sidekick Leela, who
Right.
they did a lot of footages of her all combined together, and they had that song playing along with it. It's like a video homage to her character.
Wow.
Yeah.
Number 2, I've got his James Bond movie theme, Thunderball.
Nice.
That was a good song.
It is.
And my number 1 song is kind of a nod. I've always liked it, and that's What's New Pussycat.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised.
I don't know what it is about that song, but
I
really I like it.
But yeah, probably because of the jingle up there and the way that it's performed there. It's like when we
Yeah.
when we see a couple of cats in a pet store, we playing around. That's the first thing that comes to our mind, you know.
Well, it's a very catchy song. I
It
mean,
is, yeah,
it's just something about it that just sticks with you,
yeah, that,
and in a good way.
yeah, absolutely. Especially when if you're one of them crazy cat ladies out there who live with nothing but felines,
Yeah.
or better yet,
Yeah.
JD from NY.
Yeah. And I thought before we went on to the animals, I'd mention a couple of other British invasion people.
Yes,
Kind of just an idea of some of their good stuff, and that's Manfred Mann before the Earth Band,
yes.
and they did a song called "One in the Middle" that was a pretty decent little song.
Ah,
My Name is Jack, Mighty Quinn.
yeah, we know that song.
Oh yeah, If You Gotta Go, Go Now. And I guess my personal favorite, again, I usually pick unusual ones, is Watermelon Man,
Ah,
which I believe is an old Herbie Hancock song
really?
with lyrics.
Hmm.
Because of course Herbie Hancock didn't normally do lyrics.
Yeah, he was in. He did instrumentals. That's pretty much. You know what? I was in high school one time in a band class, and one of the people, well, the women I was talking to who played this, but she was asking me if I ever heard that song. I said no, I haven't there, and she mentioned, gave me the details of that song. So that kind of brought me back to that period, you know. And at the
Yeah,
time, I was trying to put together a rock band of my own, and this woman was a bass player, but she didn't really
right,
know. But she didn't really know much about the bass, about the stuff I was coming up with. I think she wanted to join because
right.
she liked me as a person and such, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was another band I was going to mention, the Searchers, had some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
I never really heard of that group until you mentioned it on one of our earlier episodes that we did, and I'm interested to hear what kind of songs, what kind of style of rock that they were doing. Was it like the same old, was it the '60s stuff at that time? You know?
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
Um, Needles and Pins, Don't Throw Your Love Away,
Mm.
Love Potion number 9. They did a cover on that song.
Ah.
And What Have They Done to the Rain, which was probably my personal favorite from them.
Mm.
And while I'm talking about kind of semi-obscure, uh, one song I'd tell you would be a good one to check out is by a group called Dave D. Dozy Beaky Titch. Yes, that's their name.
Mm.
And the song's title is Hold Tight. I think you'd like it.
All right.
It's from the mid 60s and it's got some of that driving guitar in it.
Throw. Yeah. I'm looking on this song. Don't throw your love away. And
Yeah,
let's see here.
that was
I remember here.
probably their biggest hit.
I remember hearing a version by. There was a song by Olivia Newton-John of the same title. I'm just wondering if by chance she may have
I
covered
don't
it.
think that's the same
And
song, but it could be.
I'm looking on the Wikipedia right now. It was written by Jimmy Winsner and Billy Jackson, released in '63 by the Orions, and later became covered by the Searchers in '64. It went up to number 1 at the UK singles chart, the Irish singles chart, number 4 in Denmark, six in the on the WLS. I don't know what that is, and
I'm not sure.
neither do I. And it went to
That is a Chicago station, but I don't know if that's. It was one of those big stations that was on the clear channels. I mean, I could get it in Texas.
Nice. I know.
AM.
I have not heard. You know what? I have not heard any since I moved here. I've not. I've been. I'm hardly listening to any radio. So I gotta really step my game up as listen to what's on the radio just to see how much has changed up there. But then again, I'm kind of reluctant to because knowing me, the old school dude that I am. And by the way,
Yeah.
shout out to Minnesota Vikings fan out there. He's listening right now. And it's like I'm
Well,
an old
good.
school dude, and hey, call in Minnesota if you want to. You and Silver Row if you wish, dudes. Glad you're on the call here. And me being an old school guy, you're kind of reluctant to accept the new stuff out there because it's compared to the stuff of yesteryear. It's
Right.
kind of
That's my deal.
yeah, exactly. Because a lot of the stuff that's out there, the lyrical content was like, oh baby, I feel your love inside and out, la 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 la.
Well, then
While
they used a lot of studio gimmicks and things
yeah,
of that
like
nature,
auto
whereas
and
that you can hear a lot of it.
yeah, because half these singers cannot hardly sing at all. Whereas the songs of
Right.
yesteryear had I've said they had to practice, they had to do rehearsals, they had to take how many takes, to get the vocals right. And you gotta admit, some of those songs from in the past had some damn good stories to tell. Like compare any of the
Oh
song,
yeah.
compare it to a song by Beyonce to "Lion Eyes" by the Eagles, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
Lion Eyes by the Eagles is probably one of my favorite storytelling songs because anybody, whether it's a boy or a girl who has been in that situation, can relate heavily on what that song is about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
And I guess next we'd move on to the animals.
Yep. Eric Burden and Chris Shaw Chandler and the boys there. Alan
Right.
Price. Go right ahead there. Let me get this in. Okay, I had to respond to someone there. There we go. No, what the heck, dude? There we go. Just messing with us. Scott
Yeah, I'm
trying to
back.
get. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, good.
I got a 15 on them.
Ah, nice. Because they did a lot of
First,
good stuff there.
oh yeah, and I didn't get it all, obviously.
Wow.
Number 15, I've got their cover of Colored Rain. Uh, Eric Burden Animals did a lot of different
Covers.
things. They did a what amounts to either a prog or a psychedelic version of that song,
Wow.
which is a traffic song.
Wow. Now,
And
is this Eric Burden and the Animals, or because
yes,
there
it's
was?
on.
Yeah, I see
It
that
was on
because there
their
were.
album "Love Is."
Yeah, I've seen that record before. Yes, and I remember Andy Summers, who later joined the Police, was a guitar player with one of the particular lineups. This was after he
Yeah,
moved to San Francisco there, and hooked up with some
right.
musicians there that carried on with Eric Burden and the Animals instead of just the Animals.
Yeah. Number 14, I got "When I Was Young." I love the beginning of that with that little bass line, doom, 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 and then that guitar come in and go,
Nice,
doom.
nice.
I don't know, something about that song. It's a good song.
All right.
And number 13, I got "Don't Bring Me Down."
Oh yeah, which I remember Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers covered. I guess
Yep,
during the live
yep.
performance, I remember hearing the live version of that, and I've heard that the original at the nearby Goodwill stores a couple times there.
And number 12, I got "Boom Boom."
Which is the covered tune there.
Yeah, well, a lot of their early stuff was cover.
Hmm.
And number 11, I got "Bury My Body," which is another cover song.
Ah,
Number 10, "Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood," which I
oh
believe
yeah,
that's a cover song.
yeah, believe it. Yeah, and anybody out there who's been through that, been anybody could relate to the narrator of that song. If I if I get angry, please don't get upset. If I take shit out on you, it's just I don't
Right,
want to be misunderstood as a cruel SOB, but I have a lot of issues. And if I strike it out on you, please do not take it personal. That's the subject of that song there.
right. It's a good little song, too.
It is.
Number 9, I've got "It's My Life."
Oh yeah, a great song there.
Yeah. Number 8, I got "Inside Looking Out," which Grand Funk covered.
Ah, Flint, Michigan's own.
Yeah. Number 7, I got their cover of "Ring of Fire," which they did as kind of a prog psych song.
Ah,
They did a totally different version of it, but you could tell it was "Ring of Fire."
ah, gotta check that out sometime, man.
Oh yeah. Then the next one I got is called "All Is One," which is off their "Twain Shall Meet" album, which is pretty much a prog album
Ah,
overall. And this song's got a lot of different instrumentations in it, and it's interesting to listen to. I like it anyway.
nice.
Number 5 off that same album is "Monterey," which is kind of about the Monterey Pop Festival, and
Ah,
they kind of sing about that. It's a
yeah.
good song.
Great. I guess that was one of the historic event because the Mamas Papas were there,
Right.
Otis Redding was there. Either way, Jimi Hendrix and the Who would emerge through their shows there, and they would emerge from their huge stars for that point.
Yeah, and Sunday in the same area of Woodstock and all of that,
Yeah.
Texas had a festival that had a lot of big people in it.
Well, really,
And someday we'll talk about that one
yeah,
too.
I got it interesting. You got me intrigued on that one just now. Definitely.
Oh, you'd be amazed who was in that one.
Wow.
Number 4, I got "I'm Crying."
Mm.
Number 3, I got "We Got to Get Out of This Place,"
Oh yeah.
which is another really good song. And I know I have a number 2. Oh, there it is. "Sky Pilot."
Oh yeah. That's the one. That's one of my favorites. Probably
Yep,
one of his. There are three profound anti-war songs out there.
that's
The
possibly one of the biggest.
one of the biggest anti-war. N- the other two from my list would have to be, of course, War Pigs from Black Sabbath, and
Right.
2+2 from the Bob Seger System. Have you ever heard that song?
Yeah. And another one I might mention is Country Joe and the Fish.
Oh yeah.
Did one called "I Feel Like I'm Fixing to Die Rag."
Yes, absolutely. We know that song. If you ever, we know that was probably one of the most profound. I mean, those probably have to be the four most profound anti-war songs that ever
Yeah.
existed.
Oh, pretty much I would say so. can't really think of another one that big from then.
Yeah. And you know what? It got a lot of people clapping along on the wood when he performed that song live at the Woodstock Festival there.
Oh yeah, yeah. And my number one is again an interesting choice. It's also off the Love Is album. It's called River Deep Mountain High, which is their cover of that song. It's about 12 to 15 minutes, and it really gets proggy, and it's a good song to listen to.
And I remember there was a girl that I was dating at the time. She was looking for the Ike and Tina Turner version of that song.
Yeah, but this song, once you hear it, it's kind of hard to go back to Ike and Tina Turner.
Ah, nice.
It just moves, for lack of a better term.
Uh, one of these days I gotta look up that album, Love Is, because for some
Oh yeah,
reason
it's
I gotta
very.
look at it.
I think you'll like. I think you'll like it. You there?
Yes, I'm still here, dude. Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah, I'm
just
here.
suddenly went away.
No, I'm still nothing's wrong with my mic or anything like that. There, everything's good.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I don't think we want to give you a chance to build on your list, but later on, the next four I had were.
Yeah.
Let me see where I am. Okay. Herman's Hermits, The Hollies,
Yep. Dave
Dave
Clark
Clark 5,
and
and
Donovan.
Donovan.
Yep.
Yeah, you got it.
Yep.
Those are the ones we'll do next time, but it's not like I'm wanting to quit now.
Oh, okay. Well, a lot of my list here is not income, mostly my personal choice, whether it's heavy metal albums or industrial albums or top five songs. We already did the top four anti-war anthems of all time.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with that. That sounds reasonable to me. I can't
Absolutely,
think of any others off the top of my head.
absolutely, and it fits to say that kind of like
I
the ad-
guess,
a lot of the attitude throughout that period of time kind of like helped pave way for a lot of the liberalism that we have during both the Bill Clinton and the Barack Obama administrations.
yeah. Another one that just came to mind was Edwin Starr.
Oh yeah, the song war,
Yeah, that's definitely anti.
anti-war. So that instead of top four, we have the top five there. Definitely.
Yeah, and I'm sure if somebody could think of it, they'd probably come up with two or three more.
Yeah. So
In
definitely,
fact,
in fact, if
if anybody
anybody's
does, let's put it in the chat or
absolutely,
not
or
chat
put it in the comment
comments.
section below. Definitely for shizzle, man. Definitely.
And if you got your own list or of what we've talked about, put that in the comments.
Absolutely there. So let's see here. So let's see. And not famous in the chat here says, didn't that event start in Monterey, California? I believe it was.
Yeah,
Ah, so the way I was wondering where Monterey was located there. A lot of the big stuff there was coming from Los Angeles a lot of times, including the surf music sound, some of the big rock sound, the hair metal scene as it was it's now called there
yeah, and we'll
nowadays.
spend some time on surf music when we get there.
Yeah. Because it's not just the Beach Boys. There was Jan and Dean and a couple others there. The
A lot
Ventures.
of one, yeah, a lot of one-hit wonders.
Dude, yeah, dude, no, dude. My dad had a couple Ventures records in his collection, including a four-track cartridge of some of their stuff there. And the Ventures was a four-piece instrumental group that played a lot of surf music, I guess you could say there,
Yeah.
or stuff
Oh,
that. But they did some covers as well, including the theme from Peter Gunn, for what I understand as well.
yeah. Well, let me read you kind of the playlist of the Texas International Pop Festival.
Ah, yeah, I got to learn about this one here.
Okay, they started with Grand Funk Railroad,
Yep. The Pride of Flint.
Canned Heat,
Oh, yeah.
Chicago Transit Authority,
Before it became Chicago, as we know. This is when
right,
the first record under that name came out. Along with their.
James Cotton Blues Band, Janis Joplin,
Hmm.
B.B. King,
Yep.
Herbie Mann, group you may not have heard of called the Rotary Connection,
I don't think I have, no, but.
Sam and Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Then the next day, some of the same people showed up. Grand Funk Railroad,
Oh, yeah.
Chicago Transit Authority, James Cotton Blues Band,
Yep.
Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, the Incredible String Band, B.B. King,
Hmm.
and get this one, Led Zeppelin.
Wow. And what year was this, by the way?
I'll look in a minute.
Because this must have
Uh,
been. What was
it
this
was
after?
early,
Oh yeah, so this when the first record came out. That's before they became the big hot shots that they were in the
right?
'70s later on.
Herbie Mann, Sam and Dave. Then that day closed with Santana.
Oh yeah, and this is the original Santana lineup.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then the following day they had Grand Funk Railroad again.
Wow.
And then Johnny Winter followed.
Damn. Grand Funk. Damn. They must have loved Grand Funk a lot.
Yeah, Delaney, Bonnie and Friends, B.B. King. Do you know this may or may not be a group you heard of? Naz.
Yes, I have heard of
Okay,
them.
good. You have
Todd
Todd
Rug
Rundgren.
Todd Rundgren was in this group before becoming a solo artist and a member of that band Utopia.
Yep. Then Sly and the Family Stone.
Oh yeah.
Spirit, which is one of my favorite underground
Oh
groups.
man, we this group never really got. It saddens that this group never really got more recognition.
They
We
should have
don't.
gotten a lot.
Yeah, well, people know them from just that song "I Got a Line from You," but they had other songs out there. And we're
Oh
not just
yeah,
talking about the song that's the Taurus track, which supposedly they took Led Zeppelin a
right.
chord over, but
Well, the surviving members, the guy
Survivor
that actually wrote the song, Randy California,
passed
was
away.
flattered.
Yeah, he was Slider. Oh wow, really?
Yeah, he was cool with it.
Oh wow, that's interesting. So I guess it was the estate that prompted that lawsuit. I
I think it's
guess.
either the state or the remaining members. I'm not sure which. That group in and of itself was highly interesting. I liked them a lot.
Yeah, because they had this album with called "The 12 Dreams of Doctor Spartacus," I
That is
think it's.
probably my favorite by them. That is overall a great album.
Yeah.
Then a group called Sweetwater followed
Hmm. And this is
10 years after,
oh yeah,
which
Sweetwater.
is,
That's that group that was the subject of the VH1 movie, if you remember.
yeah,
Yeah, what the story was, Sweetwater was a band that played. That had no guitar player involved in the group. It was a
right,
flute player, keyboard player, bass player, female singer, and a drummer. And the story was the singer, got whose name I forgot, was involved in a car wreck, hit by a drunk driver, and she had to have surgery on her voice there. So where she's now sings more raspier like a Kim Carnes, rather
right.
than what she did before. And I guess as a result, she lost her light basically out of disgruntlement and disillusion there.
Yeah, yeah. Then after Sweetwater was 10 years after, which is another great group I'd like to talk about when we get it
Yeah,
today.
sweet 10 years after Alvin Lee.
Right.
He wa-
Then Tony Joe White closed the show.
mm,
Poke Salad Annie.
oh yeah, and not famous in my chat says you have to do a show focus on Brian Wilson and his connection with Charles Manson. That would be interesting.
Well, when we cover the Beach Boys, we can do that because we'll get to them.
Oh, absolutely, for sure, man.
They're going to have their own hour. There's a
Absolutely.
lot to talk about with those people.
Yeah, yeah, a lot to talk about. How they helped influence Sergeant Pepper, that or the
Right.
thing with Manson.
Okay, the festival was from August 30th to September 1st, 1969,
Hmm.
2 weeks after Woodstock.
Wow. So everybody was a lot of people were starting to do their own versions of Woodstock. I guess you
Pretty
would say.
much, although as much time as it takes to plan something like that,
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure it was already in the works when Woodstock came about.
Ah, nice. So they figured opportunity, to weigh in on the big craze at that time.
Right.
I'm sure that this festival did 28 times better than the Almont Festival, which was
Oh,
originally supposed to be the West Coast version of the Woodstock event.
right,
Yeah,
right.
but instead, it just turned out to be the opposite. Woodstock was heaven, Almont was hell.
Yeah, and then it says here that they had between 120,000 and 150,000.
Wow.
They had it kind of in a speedway
Mm.
uh, near Dallas.
Yeah, I was going to ask where this was located there.
Yeah,
So,
in fact,
wow.
it says I'm kind of reading about it a little bit. It
Hmm.
says that Led Zeppelin set is available on a bootleg.
Oh, yeah. I would not be surprised knowing how there are many bootlegs that are out there at various festivals and shows. I mean,
Oh,
I
there's a
can't.
lot of them out there.
Oh, yeah, it does. And not just this festival, but a whole bunch of others. I remember could not tell how many bootlegs of the Nine Inch Nails Woodstock '94 performance that were out there at that time. Humongous them. There was bootlegs out there. In fact, probably one of the most sought after bootlegs to me would have to be the one featuring Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison on stage together. I think it was the Whiskey a Go Go doing some jamming together.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that the bootleg titled that bootleg was entitled "Woke Up and Found Myself Dead."
Hmm. Interesting title.
Yeah, it is. And
And it also says, as of Woodstock, there were no violent crimes reported, and there was only one death, and that was due to heat stroke.
so that's good.
Because remember, this is Texas in August and September.
And Texas, it can get very, very hot during the summertime. When I
Yeah.
first, after I first moved here, I went on a bike ride, and soon afterward, the hot pavement was slowly melting the tires almost to nothing. And at that time,
Yeah,
before,
it's.
and this was before I found the work at the restaurant that I had, and a couple months later, I had to take one of those, and this is going to be an awkward thing I did. I took someone, those little rubber straps that they use to tie things down on the car,
Oh, yeah,
on the
yeah, I know
roof.
what you're talking about.
Yes, I took a couple few of those and I glued them onto the back tire of my bike because that was the one that needed it the most. There was the middle there was completely thin, and
Right.
it was an awkward move, but at the time, I figured it would be something original. Because, like I said, people say, why don't you just buy a new tire? But then again, I didn't have a job at that time. I just moved in there.
Right.
I was still looking, and that's a couple of months later. That's when I got hired in at that restaurant, the golf club there.
Right.
Yeah, and this was back in 2014. I mean,
Oh, wow.
yep. After I first moved here.
Well, I didn't realize you'd been here that long.
Yeah, about 6 or 7, more than about 7 years to be exact. And you know what?
Wow.
I do not regret moving one bit.
Oh, I obviously like it here. I've been here
Love it.
pretty
I mean,
much.
the weather here is better, especially during the cold time. Like imagine riding a bike in the winter time back in Michigan with knee-deep snow. Because for the past 7 years, up until moving here, I did not have I didn't have a car.
Wow.
And it's not something not something to go through. I'll tell you that, not without bundling up. And even while I
No.
was riding my bike as much as I did, my hands would get freezing up now and then. You have to go inside of a gas station and warm up there.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then again, if I had to get somewhere, that's what I had to do.
Well, I guess we tell folks that when we get together again, whenever you've got a day off and I'm not doing anything,
Well,
uh,
go ahead.
we'll do another bunch of top tens, and probably after that we'll do top tens on. Well, we got to do the Beatles, Stones, Who,
Yep.
and Kinks. Then after that, we're going to move back into our little journey.
Absolutely there. And I got this I start at 9 until 4 tomorrow at work there. I was thinking about possibly doing it again tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right?
Correct, yes. I start at
Yeah, that's
9 I
fine.
start at 9 a.m. and I get done at 4 p.m. So possibly when I get done there and get home, I'll definitely hit you up and we could take it from there, obviously.
Yeah, let's give it a shot and see what happens.
And possibly I want to get a hold of Minnesota Vikings fan and Super Bowl hunter because the next day I may not be able to be on Real Swag TV because I work till about 9 p.m. on this coming Thursday. So
Right.
either possibly we can have those guys call in participate on tomorrow's show, or we could possibly do a makeup show on the following Friday evening because I'm off Friday and Saturday.
Well, yeah, and we can also just do the one Wednesday and one Friday,
Yeah, we could do that. Yes,
and that would be fine with me.
yes, definitely. And we definitely like to have you on. Definitely have to have all of you guys on. And discussing everything that's out there.
Yeah, and just to let them know what our top 10 lists are coming,
Yeah.
and we'll spend time on those. And if something else comes up, something else comes up.
Yep, absolutely there. And by the way, have you reading about this situation with Tanya Roberts and the is she or is she not dead situation there?
I hadn't really seen anything
Oh
into that.
man, this is a trip, man. This is a trip, man. Apparently, it was first reported that she had died. And wait a
Right.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Known as she did die? Holy shit. Holy shit, dude. Wow. It is this is from 9 hours ago. Tanya Roberts is now officially dead at age 65. Because this was first reported on Sunday. I did a video about it, making my tribute, also commenting on the Nancy Pelosi thing with her and Mitch McDonald's homes being vandalized there.
Right.
Somebody will be definitely talking about on the if we ever do a show with a Minnesota Vikings fan this possible weekend. And
Right.
apparently, it was a bizarre. First, first, basically, it was pronounced that she was dead, and then the following day, Gatekeeper Drew got on the air and they did a video saying that she's still alive. And I was going to talk about the situation there. I made a video about that particular mix up there, which I did not upload. And now I'm looking on the thing here. It says that she is dead officially. Now from nine
Huh.
hours ago on TMZ.com.
Wow. I mean, she must have just been really, really sick, and somebody
She
jumped the
was. It
gun.
was a yes. Well, I understand. Um, she had what it was is that, and what it is. Let me look at this here. This is from her Twitter page here. Um, as here, and I was pretty much, this is the one of the representative. And this was on January 4th, yesterday, and around 9:30 p.m. Pacific time at Cedar Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Wow, man. And this is from her publicist, Mike Pingel. Pingel. And holy shit, this is probably one of the last case like this was the David Cassidy because there was already news reports that he had just died and he wasn't dead yet. A couple days later, he died.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
And it's sad because, it was sad because she still looked good at the age that she was in.
Right,
She was, as you remember, we were discussing one of the movies that she appeared in. They're talking about her role in A View to a Kill, her role in That 70s Show, and of course, the last couple seasons of Charlie's Angels. And
right,
of course, they never really mentioned Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, which we covered.
right.
Yeah. And so, if anybody is interested in this that particular episode, it's on both our channels. I advise everyone to go definitely check it out there. And wow, this is something, man. This is an
Yeah,
absolute trip. It's sad because she's one of the last of Charlie's Angels there. When you think about it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So rest in peace to Tanya Roberts. Once
yeah.
again. All right. So this is like a surprise, find out about this here. So
Well, I guess it's a surprise ending for us.
I know it's for both of us, man. It's but we'll have to find out what the real whole deal was. From what I understand, it was sort of like a tract infection she developed overnight. I guess she collapsed in her home somehow, and I guess she was in intense care throughout that whole time there.
Mm,
So, wow, sad note on to end the show with here there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So once again, rest in peace to actress Tanya Roberts. Passed
And
away.
hopefully we can go number 20 tomorrow.
Yes, I'm hoping so. Just as well there. I guess that's going to cover it for our show tonight, there, folks. And like we said, we're hoping to do episode 20 tomorrow, but with our Arknolia's continuation of his long list there of artists there that we're checking out. And once again, everybody, check out these songs that we are talking about here. Check them out, definitely. Because a lot of these artists that we have mentioned helped pave way throughout time, throughout decades, for the artists that we know about today.
Yeah, and I'm actually mentioning people that you're unfamiliar with.
Yes, absolutely there. So definitely we gotta definitely advise everybody to check these songs out there for sure, man.
And by the way, did you check out the Southwest FOB songs?
So for the Southwest SOB songs, I got to do that. You know what? I've been had so much. I've been at work, dude. I've been working so much, doing overtime
Yeah,
at my job up there. I mean,
which
Christmas
is
Eve.
actually good.
Yeah, I know exactly. But after a while, it just wears the hell out of you because on Christmas Eve, I think I was supposed to get done at 4, and then I didn't get done till about 8 p.m. There, I was like, ugh, I'm sleeping. Hit the hay, and that was about it.
Yeah, and if that happens again tomorrow, just send me a quick note.
All right, then. Definitely, I will. Okay, hopefully it won't happen this time again. I
Right.
think, but then because the Christmas rush is over, with everything gets back to normal and all that good stuff there.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for today's Arknolia Doctor episode 19. And hopefully we will meet up again tomorrow. Do it again there.
Sounds good. We'll
All
talk
right.
to you then.
And Minnesota Vikings fan and Silver Roll Hunter, definitely, if you're into my chats, call in the show. We'd love to have you on, dudes. Okay, there? And we also welcome calls just as well. There it's Dave Rose, Joe Cronin, Falmouth Ken, and the JB. And get well wishes to JB just as well, and his wife
Right.
Keisha. All right, you guys have
Of
a
course, a
good
lot
one.
of those guys probably never heard about the guys we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hopefully tomorrow.
All right.
But it's worth a shot.
Okay, definitely. You guys have a good one, okay?